Hi, I just want to take a moment to introduce myself, show where I live, and I've circled that spot. I live right here on the house site, and that's the Sangre de Cristo Mountains in Colorado. We moved here in 2007 after my wife retired from the post office and I retired from teaching in the Kansas City area. And this is our dream home, and working online made this possible. So we are in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, and right here, the white line, that's the New Mexico line. Colorado Springs and Denver are nearest big towns, and a small town, Fort Garland, a lot of great people living there, but it's 15 miles away, so every time you want a gallon of milk, it's 15 miles to Fort Garland. This is the house we built, and it's custom built. We call it treetops. It sits very high up. We're at 9,000 feet in Sangre de Cristo Mountains. See, there's a lot of snow up here. I actually put snowshoes on when I went out to take this picture. Snow's all melted off the roof now, and when it melts, it comes down. We call it a roof avalanche. It's just a thundering, and it will take out those the porch frames. So I kind of, when in the winter, I hinge those and move them back so the snow doesn't tear them down. But this is where we live, the front porch, and my office right up here to the left, on the left of that. So let's go up there and I'll show you where I work and a little bit of conversation about how I work. That's me in the office, and I pointed that out from the yard, and straight out that window up the hill is Elk Ridge, which is behind where I took the picture. So this is where I sit and where I grade your papers. I want to give a couple examples of my work habits because I think if you're online, either as a facilitator like me or you taking the class, it is important to have a routine, and being disciplined is important. So I try to be at my desk every day by 8 o'clock, well, by 9 o'clock. And the first thing I do is what I call maintenance. I go into the class, I answer every email, answer discussions, so that every day you'll see my presence in the classroom. I think it's a good process for you to check in every day. You may not post every day, but check in every day. After the maintenance, I set aside time to grade papers if I have papers to grade. So it kind of divides up morning then afternoon. And in between, I take a walk with the dogs or a hike and hopefully a nap. I do that every day so I don't get behind. And I know if I miss a day for travel for some reason, I know when I open the course, I won't be far behind. Ironically, if you get behind, the tendency is not to open the course because you don't want to see how far behind you are. So making sure that I am always current in the course eases any stress. The same with you. If you get behind, you have those same feelings of stress. So my advice is to make sure that you stay up. And if you get behind, let me know. We can work together. It's important to be disciplined. And so I get in there every day and make sure I follow a schedule. By the way, I read the mail in the morning. And so if you send me something in the afternoon, I may not see it till the next morning, but within 24 hours, I will get back to you. And that's where I work, and that's the schedule I keep. Online learning has great flexibility, but it also requires great discipline. Making sure you have a good place to work and being timely with your work is very important. That's my wife, Joni, and on the left, on her right, is my son, Peter, an artist who's currently doing residencies in Europe. And on the other side left is my son Mark, who lives in Denver and is in education. And that's the Embassy Suites Hotel. We're there for a wedding, but when they were younger, we went there all the time for mini breaks. So it's just a great place for us to remember the fun we had as we with the family. We don't have any grandkids, so these are our grand dogs. Maggie, and that's Tessie. Tessarina, the Tsarina. She rules the house. Rock Chalk, University of Kansas. And they're lying there. My desk is over to this side, to the other left of Maggie, and they're lying there waiting for me to get up and take them on their walk. They pretty well know my routine, and so they know if they lay there, wait, when I shove back from the chair, it's time for a walk or something else. My constant companions in the office. One of our favorite breaks is to jump into the 94 Jeep Cherokee, Jeep that we have, the Jeep Wrangler, and go out and look for wildlife. And this is a road. This is Emery Loop Road, and this is this magnificent Emery Loop buck, and every year since we lived there, either the Emery Loop buck or his magnificent descendant rules Emery Loop. So one of the things we like to do is go out in the evening and tell the dogs, let's go see what we can see, and take out to relax and ride a little bit. There is a lot of wildlife up here, and this bear was actually in my house several years ago. We call it the Great M&M Raid, as he found my stash of M&Ms in my bedroom and sat there and ate them all before he finally found his way out of the house. And I've made the house bear proof since then, so he can't return. But that's mountain living right there. There's a lot of good hiking out here and kind of pushing the spring here. You see the snow is still there by that mountain stream where I'm taking a break. We have a hiking group that I hike with. And so like I said, I'll try to grade papers, have discipline, but I have to take time off as well, as do you. Find that time in your schedule to get some relaxation and free time, and don't devote yourself entirely to the online education. Finding a good way to relax will stimulate you as well. The other thing is, as I said, me and the dogs and I and my wife, we like to go out and do things together. So a lot of you have support from your family, and they're giving you time to work on this. You repay that by finding time to spend with them as well. So finding the way to find breaks is an important part of being successful in the online environment. I took this picture in the fall, and that's Elk Ridge behind us, and that's Coyote Rock behind us. My neighbor swears that he saw 9 or 12 coyotes out there howling at the moon one night. I've never seen that many coyotes out there, but we certainly do see coyotes out there. And you see my two pups there just below on the leash, Maggie and Tessie. Keep them on a leash out there because there's a lot of land to roam for those dogs, and they're pretty far down the food chain. Our beloved chocolate lab Maggie loved to go out there and stoop around Coyote Rock, and she actually passed a couple of years ago, and her ashes are just behind us in a crevice on Coyote Rock, a place she loved. As you can see, the mountain is an idyllic place to live, but it gets pretty rough in the winter. They get 300 inches of snow where I live at 9,000 feet, and so we are spending our winters in Florida now, the white sand instead of the white snow during the winters. Maggie did make us to Florida with us for a few years, and there's my wife and dog. We call that place Gilligan's Island. It's kind of a secluded place we go, kind of deserted place. So there's just a few things about my family and how I work and work habits that I hope is help you to know me a little better, and to also give you some ideas about how you can work in the online environment. I look forward to working and getting to know with you. Have a great time this term.